This week's Africa Report is a commentary on, quote-unquote, one of the most influential books in all history. That's the description on the back of the Book of the Dead, the first translation in English by Egyptologist E.A. Wallace Budge in 1895. The original title to this book, written by our African ancestors of Kemet at least 5,000 years ago, is Rupert M. Heru, which Maulana Karenga translates as the Book of Coming Forth by Day. The reason for this week's commentary is a report that I read in Smithsonian Magazine on 21st January, 2 weeks ago, that a copy of chapter 17 of this sacred book was recovered from funerary tunnels deep underground at Saqqara, just south of Cairo, capital of Egypt. Unfortunately, the title, Book of the Dead, deterred many religious-minded people from wanting to know anything about its content. They instinctively conjure up thoughts of necromancy or witchcraft. But the Book of Coming Forth by Day is the world's oldest scripture. It contains even earlier sacred writings, like the Book of Rising and Transformation, also called by Europeans the Pyramid Texts, and the Book of Vindication, which they call the Coffin Texts. Religious scholars acknowledge that the Book of Coming Forth by Day, or the Book of the Dead if you prefer, is the sacred text from which many other scriptures derive their knowledge of monotheism, creation, death and resurrection, the scale of justice, judgment of the soul, the immortality of the soul, hell and heaven, the 10 Commandments, the divine Trinity, a virgin birth, the Mother of God, the Son of God, proscriptions against eating swine or pig, the practice of circumcision, the sacred lotus flower, and much, much more. In Sumer, or ancient Iraq, the national creation mythology written in cuneiform on clay tablets is almost as old as Kemetic scripture. The Ramayana and the Mahabharata, the oldest Hindu scriptures, date to 1500 BCE. But some scholars say as late as the 8th century BCE. The written Torah of the Jews, the Old Testament to Christians, was composed no earlier than the 8th century BCE, but most scholars agree the 6th century is more likely. The Quran dates back to the 7th century AD, a mere 1500 years ago. The writers of the Torah, or Old Testament if you prefer, maliciously tarnished the image of Pharaoh Ramses II, making him the archenemy of God, a profile that was reinforced by Hollywood in the epic drama called The 10 Commandments, starring Charlton Heston. Many brainwashed Christian Africans hate Pharaoh so much that they don't realize that without Pharaoh there would be no Christianity as we know it today. Listen to Baba Ashra Kwesi pronounce the full name of Pharaoh Ramses II. Did you hear the word Ma'at? Listen again. Usa Ma'at Ra Setepen Ra Ramisu, often with Miriamen added. Ma'at is the highest ethics, morality, and good order. On becoming pharaoh, the king swore to live and rule according to Ma'at. His salvation depended on it. According to the Old Testament, Moses was an old man at the time of Ramses II, the third pharaoh of the 19th dynasty. Moses had studied the Book of the Dead as a young man under Pharaoh Amenhotep IV, who changed his name to Akhenaten after he reformed the traditional religion into the first monotheistic religion known to history. Moses knew the importance of chapter 125 of the Book of Coming Forth by Day, or the Book of the Dead. In that chapter, the soul of the deceased is weighed against a feather, as it makes 42 declarations of innocence to the gods. We all know the simile, light like a feather. Where did that come from? There are many things lighter than a feather, like a buffalo flower, for example. The feather is the Kemetic symbol for netta, or the divine essence. The hieroglyph for the concept Ma'at includes a feather. It is this feather that one soul is weighed against in the Great Hall of Ma'ati, which Christians have borrowed and call the hall of judgment. Consider Wallace Budge's literal translation of the following declarations of innocence. Not have I done what is abominable to God, not have I fornicated, not have I killed, not have I stolen, not have I lain with the wife of another man. Moses ingeniously simplified the 42 personal declarations into 10 commands from God, but there was nothing new. I close with a soundbite from the renowned Egyptologist, Joseph Ben Jochanan.
I am speaking about a religion that came out of the bowels of Central Africa. Because when we look at the Book of the Dead, the pyramid texts and the coffin texts and the Osirian drama, the 147 negative confessions that set the foundation for the 10 commandments, those are your people I'm talking about.
This week's Africa Report is a commentary on, quote-unquote, one of the most influential books in all history. That's the description on the back of the Book of